Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. That Sunday morning, the small church of St. Mark resonated with the pious hymns of the faithful. The sun streamed through the stained glass windows, casting glints of light on the polished wooden pews. Father Michael, as usual in his cassock, was preaching fervently when suddenly, a roar rang out, cold and powerful, shattering the harmony of the place. Everyone froze. All eyes turned towards the entrance, and there, on the threshold, stood a majestic but strangely calm lion, its eyes fixed on the altar. No one dared move. The silence was deafening. Father Michael, though trembling, approached slowly, thinking the animal would leave. But the lion did not move. It sat in the center of the aisle, as if it had something important to reveal. Clutching his rosary, the priest followed the lion through the small village to a clearing hidden behind the church. There, he turned pale. Before him, in an ancient stone half buried by the earth, lay a 1,000-year-old manuscript bearing the name of his own family, revealing a secret he would never have believed possible, an ancestral pact between his forebears and the mysterious creature, forever binding their destinies. Father Michael felt his heart stop for a moment. The lion, a symbol of strength and truth, was not simply an animal, it was the guardian of a secret that could change the history of his village and alter his life forever. The sun was barely rising over the village of St. Mark, illuminating the white facade of the church with its first rays. Inside, the faithful had gathered, forming a silent choir of prayers and pious murmurs. Father Michael, a man in his 40s with a face marked by experience and devotion, stood behind the altar. His deep voice resonated in the sacred space, bringing warmth and comfort. Suddenly, a roar, louder than the thunder of a summer storm, resounded. The stained glass windows trembled under the sound, and an icy shiver ran down the spines of the faithful. They all froze, eyes wide, searching for the source of this inexplicable uproar. And there, at the entrance, he appeared. A lion. Majestic, imposing, with a golden mane that caught the sun's rays like a sacred halo. He fixed the altar with a penetrating gaze, calm but firm, as if he understood every word of the interrupted mass. The faithful murmured, some fainted, others remained frozen in place. Father Michael felt his heart pounding in his chest. His first reaction was to stand before the animal, rosary in hand, murmuring prayers. But the lion did not move. It advanced slowly, each step echoing in the church's woodwork, until it sat down in the center of the aisle. "Why, here?" Michael whispered, trembling. At that moment, he understood that this was no ordinary animal. The lion wasn't there to attack or frighten, but to reveal something. Instinctively, Michael followed the creature as it left the church and headed towards the woods behind the village. Each step through the dense clearing seemed to lead him toward a mystery beyond his comprehension. And there, behind an old oak tree, he saw something that made him pale. An ancient stone, engraved with forgotten symbols and half-buried, upon which lay an old manuscript. The letters, carved with eerie precision, bore his family name. The rosary fell from his trembling hands. The lion, a silent and imposing guardian, still stared at him, as if to say, "This is your inheritance, and your destiny." Father Michael knew then that nothing, ever again, would be the same. Father Michael stood frozen before the stone and the ancient manuscript. His hands trembled as he knelt to lift the fragile document. The cover was made of yellowed leather, marked by time, and the scent of earth and old parchment filled his nostrils. Each page seemed to breathe 1,000-year-old history. The lion remained seated a few steps away, observing every movement, silent but imposing, as if watching for the slightest misstep. Michael opened the manuscript and was immediately struck by what he saw: drawings of majestic creatures, esoteric symbols, and, in the middle, a family tree, that of his own family. His blood ran cold when he read the names engraved on the page, stretching back several centuries. At the bottom of the page, an enigmatic inscription caught his attention. "Whoever awakens the guardian will discover the truth about their lineage, and will have to choose between power and sacrifice." Father Michael felt a shiver run down his spine. He knew his family history, but he never would have imagined that his ancestors were linked to something so mysterious and powerful. The lion, as if understanding the priest's distress, rose and walked toward a small path hidden behind bushes. Michael followed, each step seeming to lead him deeper into a forgotten world. The whisper of the wind through the trees sounded like an ancient voice, as if nature itself were speaking to him. At the end of the path, they arrived at a hidden cave. Above the entrance, symbols identical to those in the manuscript were carved into the stone. Michael felt his heart race. The lion sat down in front of the entrance and roared softly, as if inviting him in. Michael took a deep breath and stepped through the threshold. Inside, walls covered in engravings told stories of courage, ancient pacts, and mystical guardians. But deep within the cave, a golden glow caught his eye. An ancient artifact, a gleaming amulet, seemed to be waiting for him. The priest felt that what he had just discovered would change his life forever. The lion approached and placed its paw on the ground near the amulet, as if to seal this age-old bond. Michael knew he had just taken the first step towards a destiny that surpassed anything he had ever known, a journey between truth and mystery, between his past and an ancient power that could transform the future. Father Michael knelt before the amulet, its golden glow illuminating the cave in an almost supernatural light. The central stone seemed to pulse gently, as if beating to the rhythm of its own heart. Every carving on the walls appeared to vibrate in harmony with this glow, revealing scenes of courage, sacrifice, and mystery. The lion sat down beside him, calm and imposing. His gaze seemed to say, "Only those who are ready can understand." Michael reached out towards the amulet. At the touch, an intense heat rose up his arm. Suddenly, images burst into his mind, visions of his ancestors, facing trials, making pacts with the lion, and protecting a secret so powerful that its revelation could shake the world. But a voice resounded in his head, deep and resonant, seeming to emanate from the amulet itself. "Choose wisely, descendant. Power has a price. Truth demands a sacrifice." Michael stepped back, breathless. He realized it wasn't just an amulet, it was a key, a direct link to his family heritage, and a challenge whose magnitude was beyond him. The lion roared softly, as if to reassure him and urge him to accept his destiny. Suddenly, the cave trembled. Stones rolled to the ground and a hidden passage opened, revealing a staircase descending into the darkness. Michael understood that the amulet had chosen this moment to show him the way. His first trial had just begun. Each step seemed to weigh a ton, each shadow in the darkness resembled a threat. And yet, the lion followed him, silent but vigilant, ready to protect him from unseen dangers. At the bottom of the stairs, a vast underground chamber stretched out. In the center, a basin of clear water reflected the glow of the amulet, and at the far end, an inscription carved in stone warned, "Only a pure and courageous heart will be able to overcome the ordeal and understand the truth." Michael felt his heart race. He knew that every decision he made here would be crucial. The lion approached the pool, placed its paw in the water, and a jet of golden light rose, illuminating symbols previously invisible. The priest then understood that his life had just changed dramatically. He was no longer just a servant of God, but the guardian of an ancient secret, and that the real ordeal had only just begun. The golden light from the amulet danced on the walls of the subterranean chamber, casting strange shadows that seemed almost alive. Father Michael advanced slowly toward the pool, the lion walking beside him with imposing grace. The air was thick with palpable tension, and each drop of water that fell from the ceiling echoed like a warning. Suddenly, a mysterious voice resonated again, seemingly emanating from the amulet. "To understand the truth, you must confront your past and your heart. Show that you are worthy." At these words, the pool began to swirl. Images appeared on the surface of the water, memories of Michael, moments of doubt and fear, but also of compassion and courage. The priest recognized times when he had hesitated, doubted his faith, or failed to protect those he loved. The lion growled softly, and Michael understood that the animal was not just a guide, it was a judge, a guardian of souls ready to face the truth. With a trembling gesture, Michael plunged his hands into the basin. The water was icy cold, but instead of hurting him, it seemed to penetrate his spirit, purifying his doubts and amplifying his memories of kindness and courage. A vision then appeared, clear and distinct, an ancestor of his family, clutching the amulet, facing immense danger to protect the secret it held. "You have to choose," whispered the voice of the amulet, "take responsibility for your heritage or renounce it forever." Michael felt an immense weight in his chest. The responsibility for his family, the fate of the village, and the enigma of the lion now rested on his shoulders. He closed his eyes, letting his heart guide his decision. The light from the amulet grew brighter, and he heard a powerful roar echoing throughout the cave. When he opened his eyes again, the images had disappeared, replaced by a lit passage behind the pool. The lion stepped forward, its gaze approving. Michael then understood that he had passed his first test. He had demonstrated courage, faith, and purity of heart. But one question remained: what specific secret was his family protecting? And why had the lion, a silent guardian for centuries, chosen this precise moment to reveal himself? Michael knew he couldn't back down. Every step he took from now on would bring him closer to the truth, or to danger. The illuminated passage behind the pool led to an even larger room, its walls covered in ancient frescoes. Each carving seemed to tell a story, but Michael sensed that some details escaped the untrained eye. The lion walked silently before him, its mane gleaming with a golden light, as if guiding Michael toward what his ancestors had sought to protect. In the center of the room, a stone table held an ancient casket, locked by a complex mechanism. On top, an inscription in gold lettering warned: "He who seeks the truth must solve the enigma of the soul." Michael approached, his heart pounding. The amulet, still hanging from his neck, vibrated gently and emitted a golden light, as if to point the way. He examined the box and noticed that each engraved symbol corresponded to the drawings he had seen in the family manuscript. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the room, this time distinct, almost human. "Only one who knows the courage, loyalty, and compassion of their lineage can open this chest. Do you dare to face your heritage?" Michael felt a shiver run through him. The lion growled softly, and he understood that the test would not be limited to his faith or his courage. He would also have to understand the history and values of his family. He took a deep breath and examined each symbol. Slowly, following his intuition and the lion's silent guidance, he pressed the engravings corresponding to his ancestors' acts of bravery. A click sounded, and the box opened in a burst of light. Inside lay an ancient parchment, covered in mysterious texts and enigmatic maps. But that wasn't all. A small metallic object, resembling a key, lay beside it. Michael immediately understood that this was no ordinary key. It seemed designed to unlock something greater, perhaps connected to the secret his family had protected for centuries. As he reached for the key, a low growl shook the room. A massive shadow loomed behind him. Michael turned and saw another lion, black this time, its red eyes blazing in the darkness. The animal advanced menacingly, baring its teeth, ready to defend this secret against anyone deemed unworthy. The golden lion, his guide, immediately intervened, its gaze fixed on the intruder. A silent duel was about to begin. Michael knew that every decision he made now would determine not only his survival, but also the success of his quest. His heart was pounding. He understood then that the real ordeal had only just begun, facing the unknown, protecting the amulet and deciphering the mystery of his family, before it was too late. The black lion stood before Michael, imposing and silent, its eyes red as embers. Its raucous breath echoed through the underground chamber, each vibration making the floor tremble. Michael felt his heart race, but he knew he had to remain calm. The golden lion beside him emitted a soft, protective light, as if to reassure him. Suddenly, the black shadow leaped forward, and a ferocious roar filled the air. The golden lion responded with a powerful growl, and a silent but intense struggle erupted between the two creatures. The walls of the hall trembled, and ancient engravings cracked under the animal's force. Michael recoiled hastily, but his gaze remained fixed on the scene. He needed to understand what was happening in order to act correctly. As he searched for a solution, he noticed that the golden key, still in his hands, emitted a light that seemed to interact with the cracked engravings. The symbols shone, as if a message were being revealed. Michael knew then that he had to act to protect the key and understand what his ancestors wanted to convey. He held out his hand and spoke aloud the words he had learned from the family manuscript. "Through courage, loyalty, and truth, I claim the right to know the secret." At that moment, a beam of light shot from the amulet and enveloped the black lion. The creature recoiled, growling, then froze, as if frozen by the golden light. The golden lion roared again, and this time, the intensity seemed to calm the shadow. Slowly, the black lion bowed slightly, not in submission, but as if to acknowledge Michael and accept his legitimacy. Silence fell once more in the room. Michael, still trembling, understood that the first real confrontation was over. But the message left by the light and the symbols was clear: the family's secret was not just a matter of courage or power, but of understanding and balance between good and evil, between strength and wisdom. The golden lion approached Michael and placed its paw on the ground near the key. The amulet's light seemed to indicate a hidden passage in the wall of the room. Michael stepped forward and discovered a spiral staircase, descending even deeper into the darkness, toward what appeared to be the heart of the family mystery. As he descended, he sensed an ancient presence, as if his ancestors were accompanying him. A voice echoed faintly in his head. "Prepare yourself, because what you are about to discover will forever change your destiny and that of your lineage." Michael clutched the key and the amulet to his chest, aware that each step brought him closer to a truth that would surpass anything he had imagined. The spiral staircase seemed endless. Each step down plunged Michael into near-total darkness, illuminated only by the soft but persistent glow of the amulet and the golden lion at his side. The air grew heavier, charged with an ancient energy, as if the walls themselves breathed the secret of centuries of guardians. At the bottom of the stairs, he finally discovered an immense, vaulted, circular room whose ceiling disappeared into shadow. In the center stood a stone altar, covered with familiar symbols, identical to those in the family manuscript and the frescoes of the previous rooms. Michael felt a shiver run down his spine. He had arrived at the heart of the ancestral sanctuary. On the altar, one object particularly caught his eye: an ancient metal chest, adorned with precious stones and engraved with runes that only the amulet's glare made legible. Beside the chest, an inscription carved into the ground warned: "Only those who understand the heritage and accept the responsibility will be able to decipher the power and the truth." Michael took the golden key and approached the chest. Each symbol seemed to react to the amulet's light, pulsing like a living heart. When he inserted the key, a complex mechanism activated, and the chest slowly opened with a metallic whoosh. Inside lay a manuscript even older than the one he had found in the cave, as well as a strange artifact, a medallion engraved with a lion in relief, whose eyes seemed to glow with an almost human light. Michael immediately understood that this medallion was the heart of his family's secret, an object capable of revealing, protecting, and amplifying the ancestral power linked to his bloodline. As he reached for the medallion, an icy breeze swept through the room and the engravings on the walls seemed to come alive. Spectral figures appeared, representing his ancestors, their faces grave and serious. Michael's voice echoed through the room, weak but resolute. "I take responsibility for protecting this secret, for understanding and honoring my lineage." The figures nodded their heads, and the golden lion let out a powerful roar that echoed throughout the room. The medallion lit up, casting a golden light that revealed a symbol on the floor, a symbol previously unknown to Michael, a path leading through a labyrinth of destiny, choices, and sacrifices. Michael then understood that what he had found was not merely an artifact, but a key to understanding the true nature of his family's power. But at the same moment, an ominous echo resonated within the sanctuary. The black lion had not disappeared, and its return would be imminent, ready to test his strength, wisdom, and courage once more. The priest felt his heart race. The real challenge was only just beginning. He had to decipher the mystery of the medallion, protect the ancient secret, and confront the forces that had coveted this power for centuries. The medallion shone with an intense golden light, casting shimmering reflections on the vaulted walls of the sanctuary. Michael held it in his hands, feeling an ancient energy coursing through his body, as if every cell vibrated to the rhythm of the family secret. The golden lion sat beside him, its eyes watchful, while the heavy silence seemed to suspend time. Suddenly, words appeared on the medallion, engraved by an inner light. He who bears this heart must choose between power and wisdom, between domination and protection. Michael understood that the medallion was not a mere artifact. It amplified the qualities of its wearer, revealing their strengths but also testing their weaknesses. Every thought, every emotion, every doubt became either a key or an obstacle. As he tried to understand, a vibration rippled through the ground. The black lion reappeared, massive and menacing, its red eyes blazing in the darkness. This time, it was not alone. Other animal shadows seemed to emerge from the walls, forming a pack of ancient creatures ready to defend the secret. Michael felt fear gripping him, but he clutched the medallion tightly. Golden light emanated from a protective aura, driving the shadows back. The black lion roared, as if defying the medallion's power, and leaped toward him. In an instinct for survival and courage, Michael uttered the words he had learned from the family manuscript. Through the legacy of my ancestors and the courage of my heart, I choose protection, not domination. At that moment, the light from the medallion exploded throughout the room. The black lion recoiled, frightened by this energy that was not aggressive, but just and powerful. The other shadows vanished, as if respecting Michael's truth and purity. Silence fell once more, heavier and more solemn than ever. The golden lion approached Michael and placed its paw on the medallion, as if to seal the alliance between guardian and bearer. An ancient voice then echoed through the room, as if emanating from the walls themselves. You made the right choice. Power is nothing without wisdom, and protection is true strength. But this is only the beginning of your ordeal. Michael understood that the medallion was the key to protecting the family's secret and that the real challenge was not to defeat external enemies, but to master the power, his responsibilities, and the choices that would determine the future of his lineage. As he prepared to explore the sanctuary further, a shiver ran down his spine. Somewhere in the shadows, the black lion was still watching him, patient and silent, ready to return when Michael would be tested again. Michael still held the medallion in his hand, its golden light illuminating the vast sanctuary hall. Each step he took seemed to reveal a little more of his ancestors' mysteries. The golden lion walked beside him, vigilant, while the shadow of the black lion still hovered in a corner of the room, silent but oppressive. As he approached the altar, Michael noticed a stone slab that was different from the others. Placing the medallion upon it opened a secret passage, revealing an even older chamber. Inside, scrolls, ritual objects, and a large, ancient mirror awaited discovery. Michael approached the mirror and was surprised to see not only his own reflection, but also that of his ancestors. One of them, dressed in golden armor adorned with the symbol of the lion, spoke in a whisper that only Michael could hear. Michael, your family has protected the secret of the guardian lion for generations. But the power you hold is not just an inheritance, it is a responsibility. The peace and prosperity of our lineage depend on your choices. The mirror then revealed an ancient map indicating the location of an even more powerful artifact, capable of unveiling the full extent of the family's secret. But an alarm sounded in the room, the light from the outside torches flickered, a sign that danger was approaching. Michael felt an icy breath and heard heavy footsteps coming from the entrance of the sanctuary. The golden lion growled, and Michael understood immediately. Someone or something knew of the sanctuary's existence and had come to retrieve the medallion and the secrets it held. He had to act quickly. Clutching the medallion to his chest, he turned towards the golden lion. We must protect this secret, and prepare our defense. They must not enter here. The lion responded with a powerful roar that echoed through the underground corridors, like a warning to anyone who dared approach. Michael then understood that the true test was no longer limited to the riddles of the sanctuary, it would extend to the outside world, where power and danger would intertwine with his choices. A shadow crossed the golden light, and Michael knew there was no turning back. His heritage and lineage were now in his hands, and the battle to protect the ancient secret had only just begun. The sanctuary trembled with the sound of footsteps and voices approaching the entrance. Michael, clutching the medallion tightly, felt the golden lion's energy mingle with his own, forming a protective shield of light around him. The shadow of the black lion reappeared, but this time it was not hostile, it seemed to be assessing, testing Michael's strength and wisdom before the true confrontation. Outside, human figures entered the sanctuary, seeking to seize the medallion and uncover the ancient secret. Michael understood that he had to protect not only the artifact, but also the honor and safety of his family, past and future. Inspired by the lessons of the manuscript, the power of the medallion, and the silent guidance of the Golden Lion, Michael raised his hands. Golden light exploded throughout the room, projecting ancient symbols onto the walls and creating an impenetrable barrier around him. The intruders retreated, blinded and terrified, unable to breach the ancestral power. The Black Lion then stepped forward, imposing and majestic. Michael felt he had to make a final choice: use the medallion to dominate his enemies or to seal and protect the secret. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I choose protection, truth, and wisdom. Power is nothing without responsibility." The medallion emitted an intense glow, and the human figures vanished as if absorbed by the light. The sanctuary regained its calm. The Black Lion bowed its head before Michael, as if to acknowledge his legitimacy and purity of heart. Then, the walls of the sanctuary revealed a final vision, the complete history of his family, from his ancestors to him, and the mission that awaited him. Michael understood that the Golden Lion was not only a guardian, but a guide for each generation ready to protect the secret. His destiny was now clear: to preserve the power, wisdom, and honor of his lineage, and to pass these values on to those who would come after him. Michael clutched the medallion to his heart. The Golden Lion sat beside him, majestic and silent, and the Black Lion vanished into the shadows, respecting the priest's choice and courage. The sanctuary was at peace once more, but Michael knew his life had changed forever. He emerged from the underground labyrinth with a sense of power tempered by responsibility. The sun was rising over St. Mark, illuminating the forest and the village, and Michael understood that his family's true legacy was not strength or power, but wisdom, courage, and the protection of what should remain sacred. The Golden Lion roared one last time, and Michael knew that, from now on, he was no longer just a priest, he was the keeper of the secret, the bearer of the medallion, and the protector of his lineage.